Looks like everybody is here. So we'll be able to call the meeting to order. It is, where everybody's good with calling the meeting to order, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. It is 6:07 PM on July 9th, Thursday. This is the Providence Board of Directors meeting. We do have a quorum of 4 of the board members. We need to have 3 to have a quorum. One is absent today, celebrating his wife's birthday, so totally understandable. We'll call the meeting to order. My name is Walt Dietrich. I am your board president. Go
Keith
to-
Chester, Vice President.
I'm Mark Myers, Treasurer.
I'm Howard Dow, Director.
As I stated, Nero Merrill, our secretary, is absent today. Our community manager, Tasha Davila, has stepped away for a minute. We have here our assistant manager, Felicia McMillan. And our operations, nope, they changed the title. Operation coordinator?
Director of Operations.
Director of Operations, Jody Davidson. And standing by is the CCMC representative that oversees the Western Division, Larry Hartman. I do have one note. At our last meeting, we had a resolution for the removal election ballot, and what was mailed out to the homeowners was read differently than what the resolution is. So we've amended that resolution. And I'll read that here. An owner raised the issue of the language of the motion resolution adopted at the last meeting versus the language of the document that was mailed out. So the board has executed a consent confirming ballots must be delivered to Hilburn and Lean by 5 PM on August 5th to be counted, as all the notices to the owners stated. Once again, that was what was in the notice that was given out, sent out to all the homeowners, that the removal of election ballots must be received at the offices of Hilburn and Lean CPAs by 5 PM on August 5th. Next, we have the resident open forum. This is a chance for you, the homeowners, to address the board on any matters on the agenda tonight. The agenda is sent out prior to the meeting. It's also available on our website and has been for a couple of years going back. You can see agendas and minutes for meetings for full transparency. There is another homeowner open forum at the end for homeowners to address the board on all matters related to the Providence HOA. My understanding is for this agenda items, we do not have any homeowner comments or questions. Felicia? That is correct.
That's correct, Walt.
Now, we do have other messages. Don't get everybody getting a fit like, oh, they didn't receive any messages. I sent a message. We know you did, and thank you very much, because we all know that's my favorite part of the meeting. So next we have action items. Action, acknowledge action in lieu of a meeting. But since our last meeting, we have not had any actions in lieu of a meeting, aside from the resolution, which I already mentioned to you. So we'll go down to board reports, community manager report. Tasha?
Thank you. Yes. So for the month of May, we had 5,637 closings. Management sent out 129 welcome packets, and a total of 1,160 owners are signed up for electronic statements.
Thank you very much. Next, we go to new business. Review and consider sub-association DRC application for Manchester Park. Seems like they were here last time around too.
So I'm just going to step in real quick because the application came over to me prior to me being able to transition it over to Jody. But yes, Manchester Park is renovating a lot of their landscaping in their common area. So this is a new area, I believe, on Pearl River inside of Manchester Park that they are renovating as well. So before the board is their application. The DRC did review that application and approved it as accordingly and as submitted. So we're just looking for the board's approval as well.
So the board has their packet there. It has their proposals. of course, this doesn't cost the Providence HOA anything. Manchester Park is taking care of it. But like when we do our own homes, we have to put in a design review application. So do the sub-associations. Here they're doing some things with their gates, pedestrian gates and landscape renovations, as Felicia said. So I will make a motion to approve Manchester Park landscape renovation.
I will second that.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Next, we have review and consider board liaisons for committees. Now, the board liaison is committees. We have several committees here in Providence. The Finance Committee that oversees the finance reports that come out each month. They have the Neighborhood Advisory Committee, which gets deemed with different tasks throughout the year. Maybe it's landscape design or changing of signs, different things. Design and review, as we mentioned, they approve the design review applications received from homeowners and sub-associations. Social Lifestyle Committee, they go over the social activity calendar for the year and each event, see how they were well attended, how they can make them better and improve. And the Election Committee, which is an ad hoc committee put together each year to oversee the election of the board of directors. All these committees make recommendations to the board and the board has final approval. But besides the 5 people serving on the board of directors, now you have several extra homeowners that help guide them in their decisions. So everybody in the community can have a hand in it. As a board of directors, though, we will have a director and always have a liaison to the committee that attends the meetings. And so when the committee asks questions, the director may have some insight as to what the board is feeling or thinking towards that item and help the committee along, making their decision and recommendations. So first up, we have the Finance Committee. And not surprisingly, the Finance Committee board liaison is usually the treasurer. So
Yes, I'd be willing to serve on as the liaison to the Finance Committee.
Okay. And then we have the Neighborhood Advisory Committee. I would like to recommend Neil Merrill for that. He has served on it before, and I think he'd be happy to do it again. If not, I will be happy to step up.
Sounds good.
Next, we have Design and Review Committee.
I'll take design review.
Keith? All
Yep.
right. Social Lifestyle.
I'll take social lifestyle again.
Sounds very good. And the Election Committee. Now here we have a caveat that there are 5 board members in Providence, and each year, alternating years, we have an election. One year will be for 3 members, the next year will be for 2 members. And this year is 2 members, that is Mark Myers and Howard Dow. So in this case, those 2 board members, since they are being up for election this year, they will not be able to serve on that committee. So that'll be up to myself, Neil, or Keith to serve on that committee, to be the liaison. For that, I'm happy to step up and do that. I did mention Neil for Neighborhood Advisory. If he didn't want to take that, he wants to take election, we can make that alteration. And I also want to preface, before we make a motion and then approve all this, that any homeowner can attend committee meetings. You don't have to be on the committee. You have to be on the committee to help make the recommendation to the board. You may be aware that our committees that are coming up are going to be streamed due to the pandemic, the closures going on. We're going to be doing Zoom meetings, but on the Providence calendar are upcoming meetings, Finance Committee, Neighborhood Advisory, that haven't met over the past few months. And they're going to be doing Zoom meetings so everybody can watch it just like you're watching this now on YouTube. They'll have the Zoom meeting going right to YouTube. Again, full transparency so everybody's able to view and watch. Likewise, the board members are homeowners and they can participate, that is, attend the committee meetings or watch it as well. So to recap, I'm going to make the motion for Mark Myers to serve on the Finance Committee, Neil Merrill to serve on the Neighborhood Advisory Committee, Keith Shesley to serve on the Design Review Committee, Howard Dowell to serve on the Social Lifestyle, and myself to serve on the Election Committee.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have review and consider transfer of funds from operating to reserve. Mark, can you take this one?
Sure. To more rapidly improve our reserve fund situation, what I'd like to make a motion for is to accelerate our monthly contributions of 43,000 for the balance of the year and make it into one lump sum payment at the end of July. That would be a total of $258,000 that would be transferred to our reserve fund in July. And based on the reserve fund through the May finances and with the accelerated contributions, that would bring us up to 74.6% funded.
So we're talking about taking the $43,000 that we put each month into the reserve, putting them all at one lump sum. It's already budgeted for. It's not anything extra. Budgeted for, would make a one lump sum payment right now.
Right. And to add to that motion, I'd also like to state that the board will consider adding additional funds at the end of the year when we have a better handle on what the excess funds are at that time.
Yeah. As we've seen already in the financial reports, there's certainly been a lot of money saved this year, whether it's on different GLs or line items, social lifestyle events, salaries, different areas like that. So there should, at this point, we're looking at quite a bit of extra money that we could transfer over to the reserve at the end of the year because of all the savings we've had.
Correct.
Well, I make a motion that we approve this transfer of funds, or second it.
I already made the motion.
Yeah, I'll second it. I'll second it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Next, we have review and consider Brightview contract addendum.
So that's going to be me. It is just, as you know, with finishing up Huckleberry Park and all of that work finally being done, they did send over the addendum. So it is a 3% increase of the contract, which is $1,211.15, with the newly contract amount of $41,582.93.
I went back and looked at this, and it's a 3% increase. However, since our initial contract in 2016, there's been about a 10% increase of Brightview. That's 2.5% a year, which may or may not sound like a lot, but when you consider that we just added 7 acres to Huckleberry Park that they're tending to, I don't think it's that much. So with that, I will make a motion to approve the contract addendum. For the,
Second.
Second.
any further discussion?
Is that you, Keith?
Yeah, second.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have review and consider Brightview proposal for irrigation retrofit at Egan Crest and Durrell medians.
Perfect. So that's going to be me again. So that is just one, as you know, we're doing phases to get all of that irrigation changed out because of all the problems that it's causing. So that is just fast tracking this section to get it done. It wasn't originally scheduled until 2022. So it is just that proposal to have it done sooner than that. And that came in at $6,330.
That was already budgeted for that already. Is that correct?
No, I don't think that was because we plan on doing one phase per year of 5 years.
So it is actually part of the overall 5-year plan that you guys were going to do originally. So it would be part of the 1.2 million that was given to us as an estimate of what the entire project would cost. And this will be from reserves.
So it's actually in the budget. That's what I'm
It's
speaking
in the
of.
reserve fund.
I don't think it was in the 2020 budget, no.
Okay.
But it's, we're just accelerating something from our reserve funds for that. So it really doesn't have to be a budgeted item. It's coming out of the reserves.
Okay.
Jody, this is for $6,000, and compared to that overall landscape renovation project, 1.2 million, this can't be a very big area, I'm guessing.
Correct. So it's just the Durrell and Egan Crest median. So it's just that middle median portion.
It's right outside of Highgate.
Is
So
that the-
from the Highgate,
what they just-
Egan Crest,
I'm sorry, Walt, what'd you say?
from Highgate, the entrance to Egan Crest,
Correct, yes,
just the median.
yes.
Oh, and for homeowners that don't know, so Providence, of course, is about 14 years old, the community, and we found that over the past year or so that the drip system line, the major line that runs beneath the ground, is having catastrophic failure. That is, it's leaking, and then they go in and fix it, and a few days or a couple weeks later, maybe a foot or 3 feet down, there's another leak, and they're having to, that is the landscapers are having to keep continually fix it, dig it up, repair it, and then it leaks again. So the board approved a 5-year plan to replace that drip system line. And while you're in there digging it up, might as well replace the red landscape rock on top of it and any plants that are not thriving. And I just want to give that clarification so you understand what we're talking about. Now this area is the median from along Durrell from Egan Crest to the beginning of Highgate. And Brightview, our landscaper, has said that they're having a lot of problems, excessive problems there, that they want to get it done early. And here we have a proposal for about $6,000 to get it done.
We should also realize the significant savings in water usage too, as we progress on this project.
Correct. Do we get a motion either way on this?
I motion to approve.
Oh, go ahead.
I motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next we move down to review and consider procurement of bids for landscape maintenance. So it's been since 2016 since we went out to bid last for landscapers. It should be done on a regular basis. Though we went out to bid from 2016, I believe it wasn't approved until the beginning of 2017. So it's 3 years later, which has been the average of going out to bid. Again, not that we're necessarily unhappy with the landscaper that is Brightview right now, but it's our duty to make sure we go out and see what else is out there. Is there better service available, less money, and things of that nature. So this here before the board is to have the motion to go out to bid for landscaping company.
I'll make that motion to approve the procurement of bids for our landscaping company.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then next we have review and consider Katie Williams' proposal for block wall repairs for various locations.
That's me again. So we did meet with Keller and Davis. We walked a few different parts of the property that have been reported to us through the Providence Reporter app. And so with those few different locations that they did provide that proposal to come in at $3,752 for fixing cracks and different parts of the wall.
Are these repairs also for like water damage where water is seeped through the walls, that type of thing as well?
It didn't appear to be that way, Mark. These are ongoing perimeter walls where they are failing, where they have cracks, just significant cracks coming through. It could be from various reasons, but nothing in regards to water intrusion or anything like that that we were able to tell from the outside of Schaumburg, because majority of these were on Schaumburg between Saratoga Highlands and Manchester Park. But there was no water intrusion or any leakage or anything like that, effervescence that we can see on our Schaumburg side that would show that we're having any water issues. It's just the construction of the wall itself failing. I apologize, Jody, I just know a little bit more about it. So I apologize for stepping in.
Thank you.
So this bid from Katie Williams is for $3,752. Providing all the supplies and materials, Manchester Park, remove and reset 14 wall caps. There's an address here, remove and rebuild wall, approximately 12 course V out wall caps. There's part of Huckleberry Park, remove and reset 7 wall caps. Obviously, that is the old part of Huckleberry Park, not the newer park that was just completed.
Correct.
Schaumburg, go ahead.
It's just inside the theater, there was some vandalism there where some of the wall caps have become broken.
Got it. And Schaumburg and Durrell, remove and rebuild wall, approximately 6 course V out and wall caps. Again, for a total of $3,752. I make a motion to approve the bid from Katie Williams.
Second.
Keller and Davis. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was everybody, no opposed. And next we have review and consider procurement of bids for irrigation retrofit project.
So this was due obviously to the failing irrigation lines throughout the master planned common areas. The board had previously agreed to a 5-year plan to replace the irrigation lines, but just with all the issues that we've been having, we'd like to maybe fast track that to a few years, and we would need to go out to bid to do that.
Okay, once again, this is something that we could get done sooner because of the cost savings that the board has implemented throughout the year and will continue to do in years to come.
Now, Walt, based on recommendations from the management, would it be wise to tie this motion to the procurement of bids for our landscaping, that the management is recommending that we use the same for both?
Well, it could be that the bids come in. We want a good service. We want a good price.
But he's talking about them with the warranty on the materials and the work, that if we have 2 different companies doing, one doing landscaping and one doing the irrigation repair, our warranties would probably be meaningless.
I understand what you're saying there, Mark. So for the homeowners, as an example, Brightview is our landscaper now, and they warranty the plants that they plant. Okay, if the plant should die, they're the ones taking care of it. They warranty it. If we should go a different company to do part of this landscape irrigation project and the plants fail, then the argument that the installer would say is, well, Brightview took care of it and they're the ones that caused it to fail. And then you go to Brightview, it's like, well, we didn't install it. The other company installed it. So it's a finger pointing thing going on. So I definitely understand that reasoning that you're saying there, Mark. But since we're looking at a 3-year plan for this, to shorten it up from the original 5-year plan, maybe in 2 years, the landscaper that we have may not be the same one. And I think just to get an idea of bids,
Okay.
we're going to start working on our budget. And in that, we're going to want to know what we're going to spend on this landscape irrigation project for next year. And again, going back to when we originally had the idea to go to a 5-year plan, we approved the first year, the first section, but for ensuing years, we want to make sure we get a good value and the best service, keeping in mind everything that you just said.
Okay. Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the procurement of bids for irrigation retrofit project.
second,
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Okay. Next, we have unfinished, whoops, not unfinished business. We have review and consider election by acclamation. NRS 116.31034, paragraph 5.
So this is just basically anytime you guys are going to have an election and you'd like to enact acclamation, you guys have to adopt that every time before, or approve that every time before another election. So this is just on the agenda so that you guys can decide that should you only get the amount of correspondence back from the homeowners as we have positions available, then we could just do an acclamation election instead of having to go on to a full election.
Understandable. It happens every year. That is, the election happens every year. This year's two positions are up for election, as I said earlier. So if only 2 people put in the candidate interest forms, then we wouldn't have to hold the election. That saves significant amounts of money to the association for mailing out ballots and such. You might say, well, it's 2 people. Of course, there's going to be more than 2 people. However, in 2017 and 2018, the number of positions open for were the number of candidate interest forms that we had. So we were able to save quite a bit of money those 2 years. And this is per NRS, and we just have to approve it each year. That is, if for the 2 positions, we only get 2 people put in candidate interest forms, those 2 people would be appointed or acclimated to the board. It's by acclamation. They would be elected by acclamation. And so we just need to approve this. I'll make the motion to approve this election by acclamation.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? And I can't see the homeowners here. It's driving me crazy that I want to make sure that everybody understands this is a normal procedure. It's not doing anything out of the ordinary whatsoever. If 3 people put in for the 2 positions, there's an election being held. If 10 people put in for the 2 positions, election is being held. It's only if only 2 people put in for it. It did happen in 2017 and 18. Yes, or 1, Mark.
Yeah.
With that, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
aye,
Next, we move on to unfinished business. Review and consider June 18th, 2020 Board of Directors meeting minutes.
Real quick, it's actually review and consider annual audit from Hilburn and Lean.
So
Okay.
you might have gotten an older copy of the agenda in front of you. So my apologies for that. But yes, the next one is to review. It's VJ. It's yeah. So it's to review and consider the draft audit from Hilburn and Lean. This is the 2019 draft audit that was done by them. And so this is something that the association has to do every year per NRS 116. And that's what's before you guys.
Right. Sorry, this is a printout I had from last week, and the agenda up on the website does definitely have the item J there, review and consider. And of course, the audit was sent to the board of directors prior to the meeting, so they would have a chance to review it.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to accept the 2019 audit as provided.
Second.
A discussion item I have for this is that I would wonder if we should put it before the finance committee. However, I know the finance committee has already seen the financials that this audit covers to the end of 2019. So I'm comfortable in going forward with this motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Now we will go to unfinished business. Review and consider June 18th, 2020 Board of Directors meeting minutes. Again, the minutes were provided to the board ahead of time so they can review them. Has the board had a chance and taken the time to review the minutes?
yes,
And I would entertain a motion to approve them.
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. And I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. And I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. And I would entertain a motion to
I motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the next item is review and consider February, March, April, and May 2020 unaudited financials. Now,
Would you want to table that until the finance committee can review these?
I think that would be the prudent thing to do. It was talked about at the last meeting, made the motion, approved it the same way. They do have a meeting coming up
Next week, yes.
week,
Yes, next Thursday.
July 15th. And so though they've been provided the financials already, I'm sure. And this will give them a chance to review it, make their recommendations to the board, and we can approve them all at the next meeting. So I make the motion that we do table that until the finance.
So it's not a table, it's actually, the motion is to postpone.
Okay, motion. Following Mark's lead with the table. Motion to postpone.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Other business, next board meeting. The agenda does say September 10th, 2020, but that is my 26th wedding anniversary. And if I attend that meeting, there won't be a 27th. So I talked to the board and we're going to postpone that till probably September 17th. Of course, the meeting will be properly noticed to the homeowners. So next, it is my favorite time of the night, the resident open forum. This is a chance for you, the homeowners, to address the board on any and all matters related to the Providence HOA. Because we are doing this Zoom meeting thing, so we don't have a meeting in person for the governor's orders and pandemic closures and things like that. So homeowners were told that they can submit comments and questions to the board in advance, and they will be read here. And we do have some homeowners that did turn in responses or comments and suggestions and things. So what we did, management had them and they just passed them out to everybody. So one person didn't read everything. And who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Howard.
Okay, here's one question here. I am requesting an interactive session of the Board of Directors meeting to allow residents to be able to participate. I am requesting for a third or fourth time in writing for the staff member to read, respond to all questions, comments, concerns, and submit to the electronic suggestion box. I am requesting a thorough investigation of the patrol person responsible for the fire to the truck, and I do not believe that the homeowner should pay for the employee's reckless behavior that goes against their own company's safety policy.
I'm going to make a couple comments on those. The last item in particular, we had an unfortunate incident with the security patrol, a courtesy patrol vehicle last weekend near the 4th of July. That matter was posted and then announced to the homeowners on social media and such. Everybody's okay. That's a good thing. There was some damage to the vehicle, but courtesy patrol has insurance that will cover that. So that would be no cost to the association. The suggestion box, I was talking with board members about it, and we certainly want to be transparent. So we're talking about having on our website a place where all the suggestions that come in get put up there. And hopefully that will happen very soon. And as far as responding to or a dialogue with the board, I can't tell you myself, I love the streaming thing. If it was up to me, we'll never stop doing it, but we want the homeowners to be present too. The pandemic closures, we can't do it right now because we have popular board meetings, right? So, but looking for ways to make that better. And I'd love to hear your ideas on that. We have the homeowners suggestion things in advance that is putting in their comments, and we're reading them as we did last month. So suggestions on how that could be better, let us know. Okay, next one.
I'll go. Are these supposed to be anonymous, or are we supposed to read the name?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Please read the name.
Read the name? Okay, this.
Like our home open forum, we always ask the
Hold on.
name.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Howard, do you want to go back and just read the name of the person that had submitted yours?
Yes, this was from Jennifer.
And do you know which community she's from?
She didn't say, she
It's
didn't
for
say.
out of view. It's at the bottom.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I have a question from Linda Burke with Hearthstone Brookstone. It's a 4-point question. Hello, board members. My comments, questions for the 7/9/2020 meeting are below. Please listen to them with open hearts. I love this community and I want the best for it, as you do. Number one, can or does Securitas provide spreadsheet for the patrol to the residents and the board for review with the following on a monthly or weekly basis? A, nature of calls. B, number of calls. C, outcome of calls. D, hours of peak or least activity. And E, number of vehicles active each hour of the day. I'm not one that wants to eliminate the patrol. I rather like their presence. However, knowing this information could help us as a community understand how to better use the patrol in a way that would be more cost effective. Number two, since we have a good start in savings for this year due to the pandemic and canceled social events, will the board consider saving these funds instead of spending them on more or extra activities? This savings could get us in a better position to either stop future increases or reduce the fee to the original amount. This could help residents financially and could boost morale in the community in relation to recent HOA financial issues. Number three, please explain why so many full-time employees are in the office or on the books. These salaries are very expensive and frankly, are they needed to run our community? Could we reduce this number and still run our 5,600 home HOA effectively? Who makes these decisions on how many employees we have? Is this influenced solely by CCMC, or is there a formula somewhere to help guide the decisions? And number four, please revisit allowing more residents on the social and financial committees. These two committees are very important to be the voice of our community. And since the survey doesn't seem to be geared to address the issues in the communities, in these committees, like many of us were led to believe, it would be really meaningful to expand these as soon as possible. Thank you for listening and addressing my questions.
There's several things there. Can we touch upon them briefly, go over each one, Mark?
Okay, first, can Securitas provide a spreadsheet for the patrol?
To the question before. So yes, management gets a report from Courtesy Patrol on a daily basis of what incident reports. Every time an officer responds to something, they do an incident report. Michael here at the office, the Courtesy Patrol, Securitas Courtesy Patrol manager, he has information. I know management also gets downloads the, what do they call those speed meters? You've seen them around the community that have it blinks the light when you're going too fast. They download those monthly, they get that information. Not that Courtesy Patrol is out there checking people for speed, but I'm just using that as one of the pieces of data that management does get. And I'm sure if you come down to the office, the management would be happy to share with you details of that. What's the next one?
Okay, the second one is, would we be willing to use excess funds from canceled events and other savings to help offset expenses rather than use them on extra events?
Yes, that's definite. I'm speaking for myself, but I think I could speak for the board on that matter. We're talking about saving money. We've already canceled so many events, and not that we're going to go to no events ever again, of course not, but temporarily we have, and we're doing saving money, putting it where it needs to go.
And also with the motion that we made, we're going to be making that determination at the end of the year of possibly moving more into our reserve funds as well.
That's right. Exactly. I think the next one was for on employees and salaries.
Yes.
Yes. So you see 3 staff positions here. Mr. Hartman, he is from CCMC. Providence doesn't pay him directly, but the staff here at the office has been running short-staffed all year long. We did go down from 9 staff members to 8 right now, as I understand it, but they've been running with 3, 4, or 5 members when there used to be 9. So there's already been tremendous savings from salaries, positions that are not filled, positions that we didn't backfill. So yes, there's money to be saved in salaries, and we're doing that.
And the last one discusses adding more members to the social and finance committees.
So that was brought up at the last meeting. We had an opportunity to review the charters and expand, and the board didn't make any motions to do so. But as I said earlier, all homeowners are welcomed, if not encouraged, to go to the meetings. And if there's Zoom meetings right now, watch them and give us your input. Give us, the board, your input. And that's open to all homeowners. Yes, the committee members are the ones that actually make the recommendation. Obviously, there's so many people that serve on the committees, but they're all residents here. They're all homeowners, and they're happy to hear from you and take your suggestions and pass them on the board directly if you don't do so yourself. So right now, the committees are not expanding their capacity of people, but all homeowners are welcome to attend and give their input to the board at any time. Okay, next one.
I can go.
Got an echo here. Let me change this.
I can go. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
All right. I want to make sure it's heard. Nathan and Lori Jamie, right. Please read the following at the HOA meeting on July 9th. Thank you. I found that more than a fourth of the budget, 29%, is being allocated for non-essential items. That's over $1 million being spent on things that our association does not need. Because reviewing the budget can be daunting, I tried to simplify for a quick review. Funds needed: park construction, $415,284. This is what the $1.5 million loan was used for. Irrigation repairs, $568,253. To be completed in 5 years as we can afford it. Reserves, $481,640. What's needed to help replenish it higher than 65%. Savings available, $1,047,031. $1,047,031 minus $415,284 equals $631,747. This completes the park without the need of a loan. $631,747 minus $568,253 equals $63,494. This completes irrigation on a quicker timeline than 5 years, saving water costs and avoiding fines. Put the remainder, $63,494, into reserves to bring our reserves up. $890,714 plus $63,494 equals $954,208, bringing our reserves from 65% to 70%. A good start to replenishing funds where it's needed. I'd like to clarify that any suggestions made in cutting the budget is meant to be temporary. If the residents can do without some of the fluff for just a matter of months, our finances will come back no problem. I also want to stress that when I say cut line items, I did not suggest we cut all of the fluff. There are major events still in the budget. The current board is insisting that those of us that want to cut the budget want to ruin the fund for everyone forever. That simply is not true. We want cutbacks, not cutouts. And even the cutbacks are temporary. We're talking less than a year. And if appropriate steps are taken, our dues should be lowered back down from $180 to $150. There was never any reason to raise them in the first place. If you'd like a more detailed outline of my budget proposal, I'd be happy to provide it to you. I had provided it to the board and they didn't even look at it. They didn't even look. That means they aren't taking our finances seriously and I'm ready for board members that care about where my dues are going to step up and help correct the mistakes of the current board.
So Lori
So-
Jamie serves on our finance committee, and she did provide that proposal, and she said that we haven't read it. I know that we have. I review it regularly. And in fact, I printed out a copy and I have marks all over it. I started putting it together on my computer with notes of saying what of those guidelines that she recommended. As many of our homeowners, Lori is very smart and very astute with numbers. And she outlined several ways that we could save money. And we've done those. I'm not saying we've done everything on her list, but we've done a lot of things. Hence why we were able to accelerate payments to the reserve fund. And we're talking about all these extra monies. So
I
thank you,
have
Jamie,
looked
Lori,
at it.
for giving those suggestions. And please know that I have read your comments. I read them regularly. Just last week, I listened to your last finance committee meeting. Again, I've listened to it several times. And so we definitely are listening and paying attention.
And that's a good point. I've read it more than once, and I know the finance committee has all read it. So
Yeah, I've looked at it more than once, and I complimented Lori on the work because she's really dug down into these numbers. And obviously, we have discussed it extensively, but I do think it's always a good idea to go back when anybody puts that much time into it. It's a good idea to go back and continue to look at these numbers every time that we, make a change. And I know reading those numbers out loud, not everybody who's watching is going to know exactly what all those numbers mean. But Lori says that you can reach out to her for her report. I would encourage you to do so. And she has some very good ideas. She put in some good work.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Who else do we have? I have one. Mine. There it is. This is from Laura Chapman, Barada View. Dear Board of Directors, I would like to know why your survey, in quotes, insinuates we have security in Providence. Additionally, I'd like to know why your survey asked about free food without disclosing who is paying for the free food. If 5,800 residents are paying for the food with dues, it's not free. If some sponsor is donating the food, that should have been made clear. So Laura, thank you for your comments. She's talking about the community survey that was announced in the Providence Post newsletter that was mailed out to all the homeowners, and it's in the Weekly Gazette email, and it will be for the next few weeks. You have till July 31st to fill it out. One of the questions asked about food on at events. And so as a question, the board got together and reviewed the survey. If you look at the one from last year to this year, I hope that you'll find it's greatly improved. Maybe it's not perfect because there's always room for improvement. So suggestions like this are helpful, and we definitely take that into consideration. I'm disappointed that the survey insinuates that we have security. I didn't feel it that way myself. I'm going to go and review it to see that, because of course we have courtesy patrol. We don't have security. We don't have our own police force. Oh, and then she talks about the food with dues, not free, and of sponsors. And of course, we do have sponsors. Our tradition partners and others have definitely participated in paying for events. Those were the two questions. I did answer those. Thank you, Laura. Who do we have next?
We have a comment from Erica Woolley, who lives inside of Northern Terrace. Erica writes, I would like to request the following questions be put forward during open comment at the board meeting tomorrow, July 9th, 2020. Number one, at the last board meeting, I thought I heard Mark Myers, treasurer, say our reserves are currently at 45%. Is that correct? And if not, what percent are our current reserves at? Number two, have you drawn against the $1.5 million loan for Huckleberry Park? If so, how much? Number three, the board claimed in previous meetings they were going to give residents a say in how our money is spent with the annual survey. Why was the survey given to residents that didn't include the cost of non-essential items, seasonal decorations, social events, third-party donations, etc.? And one of the questions it asked whether people want free food. Is that not a leading question, as the free food you refer to is paid for with our dues? Number 4, during the last finance meeting, there were 2 items passed by the committee. Number 1, the elimination of the glossy magazine Providence Post, the cost $53,000 a year, and 2, reduction of web hosting cost of $30,526 a year. Why has there been no follow-up to these items? What is the point to have committees if you don't take their recommendations?
Okay, so go over those real quick.
I'll address the reserve fund.
Thank you.
As of through April, we were at 45%. That's exactly right, funded. And that's why we took the action that we did this month, where we're accelerating our monthly payments for the rest of the year. And the most current financial statement we have is through May. And based on those numbers and the accelerated payments, our reserve funds are now up to 74%. So
That was question 1, Felicia.
Yes, that was question 1. Question 2 is, have you drawn against the $1.5 million loan for Huckleberry? And if so, how much?
So that paperwork, I'm sorry, I just wanted to put in really quickly that paperwork is being processed and we don't have that number yet.
Okay. But I do want to explain that this was a construction loan. Last summer, we had a Facebook town hall meeting where our operations coordinator, I believe he was at the time, Garrett Roberts, he presented the ideas that were going to be given to the board on how to get Huckleberry Park completed. And it did talk about getting a construction loan. And what that construction loan is, and what we had was a loan up to $1.5 million, like a line of credit. You withdraw from it until you're done with the project, in this case, the completion of Huckleberry Park. And once that's done, then it's finalized and turned into a loan. So what Tasha said is that we haven't finalized it yet, so we don't know exactly how much it's going to be, but it's far, far away from $1.5 million. That will not be the amount. What's the next question? So we answered all that about the loan. Have we drawn up on it? Yes, we have. Do we have final numbers? No, we do not.
Okay. Question 3 was, the board claimed in previous meetings that they were that they were going to give residents a say in how our money is spent with the annual survey. Why was the survey given to residents that didn't include the cost of non-essential items, seasonal decorations, social events, third-party donations, etc.? And one of the questions, it asked whether people want free food. Is that not a leading question, as the free food you refer to is paid for with our dues?
I did cover the free food with the other, when Ms. Chapman had the question, I hope I did. And the survey was made better. I'm seeing these suggestions now. Perhaps it could be made even better. I know it can be. And so we'll have to take that into consideration. In fact, you mentioned leading questions. I didn't know what that was. I'm sorry, I don't know everything in the world. So I learned what a leading question is. And knowing now what it is, I can see the survey could be made better. There was one more item.
Number 4, during the last finance meeting, there were 2 items passed by the committee. 1, the elimination of the glossy magazine Providence Post, and 2, the reduction of web hosting cost of $30,526.
Okay, so I know that management did meet with our vendor that does the magazine print to order, and you should have seen a change in the last couple of Providence Posts. They're smaller and not as thick, and there was some cost savings there. There's more to be done, and I'm not going to lie to you. I don't have an excuse why it's not done even more cheaply. I know the board has talked about going to email, and we've directed management to make that happen. So there's even more significant savings. Some people like getting things in the email. Some people like getting things mailed, and just to have the option. And then there would be significant cost savings. There's legal ramifications as far as the noticing of the meetings, but that's what we're trying to work out. So there will be cost savings there. And the website provider is also under consideration, and that's talks are going on as far as that goes.
Okay, this comment is coming from Phil Chapman in Verada View. Does Securitas work for the association or does the association work for Securitas? I ask this question because every time I have asked the community manager to send me copies of association's recordings dealing with Securitas, records that the association must make available to me under NRS 116.31175, the manager has responded that she or he must check with Securitas first. That is nonsense. The manager has the records. She is compelled by law to give copies to any member who requests them. Why does she have to get Securitas's permission to give me copies of documents that she must? By law, give me in any event. Why did it take several months and an order from the NRAD ombudsman to get Mr. Hartman to give me a copy of the Securitas post orders, which are a part of the association's contract with Securitas? Why did it take 4 separate emails to Ms. Davila before she finally relented and sent me an unredacted copy of the incident report for the burned Securitas truck? Why does management seem to want to maintain a veil of secrecy over Securitas?
Tasha, would you want to respond to that?
Well, what I was going to say was that, especially before when we had that comment that asked about the details of everything Courtesy Patrol does, the first question is Courtesy Patrol, that is Securitas, is a vendor of Providence, so they definitely work for us. Secondly, the details, knowing people in law enforcement to give out that information, I would question it because there's details. If you're learning about patrols or something, if you're the bad guy and you got that information, then you'd be able to be a better bad guy, for lack of a better word. And while I can't speak for management, Tasha can certainly speak for herself. That's the first thing I would come to mind. The post orders he's speaking of, that was directly from Securitas company. They said not to release them. Of course, the ombudsman did say to do so, and we did immediately.
Yeah, so as I was getting those requests, I was just trying to make sure and do my due diligence in the background that I wasn't releasing anything that I wasn't supposed to. And at the end of the day, I ended up giving him exactly what he was asking for.
Okay, the next comment comes from James Wheeler. I'm not sure of the community in which he resides in because it's not on the form, but I can definitely look him up in our system and provide that information to the board should you so wish. Throw the entire board out, take our sorry management team here with them. Time for some firing and replacement. Worst run community I've ever lived in.
As far as the management team goes, there is only one person, you, Felicia, that's been here since December. So I guess he got his wish, but that doesn't mean you're on the chopping block. We'd love to have you, our assistant manager, Felicia.
All right. The next comment comes from Joe Van Dyke. Mr. Van Dyke is a part of Hampton Glen, which is a part of Bar Arbor Glen. Mr. Van Dyke comments, according to the annual budget, we pay $1,800 a year or $150 a month for an alarm monitoring company, presumably for the association office. It seems to me that a simple cost-saving idea would be to scrap this and have any alarm activations go through Courtesy Patrol, since we have these guys on site 24/7 and pay almost $1 million a year for that service. Why not use them? Alarm monitoring is kind of a waste of money anyways. In a city like Las Vegas, as a police officer here, I can assure you that Metro does not respond to these types of alarms. Assuming we pay a service such as ADT that sends a guard out, I can also assure you that in most cases, again, drawing from my experience as a police officer working in the city, the guard doesn't typically arrive on scene for an hour or more after the alarm activation. And then once they are on the scene, they do very little. Many times they park so far away from the building that they cannot reasonably see if anything is even going on at the property, which being that it is already likely an hour after the alarm went off. There probably isn't anything going on. At this point, guards might contact police, who might take another hour to respond. At this point, we're 2 hours after the alarm activation. Now, I don't know if Courtesy Patrol is already linked into this system, as they certainly should be, but if they are, why pay for an alarm monitoring company? What benefits does the separate company provide? It's 2020. A quality security system, including live feed video surveillance, can be purchased and installed at a very little cost. I and many other homeowners are very familiar with this type of thing and would be more than happy to assist in purchasing and installing new equipment that requires no subscription. Many of these systems allow for live monitoring through a smartphone. I noticed that Courtesy Patrol contract provides the on-duty staff with smartphones. Seems to me that they could easily monitor a system, set up alerts for motion and such, and we could easily scrap the entire security monitoring company, which provides very little real benefit over what Courtesy Patrol could already be doing. We have a budget crisis within this association, whether the board will admit it or not. $1,800 per year is next to nothing and will not even come close to solving our vast budget problems. But $1,800 is $1,800. It's a step in the right direction, and it seems to be an extremely simple step to take, one that I cannot imagine would face criticism unless there is something I am truly overlooking or misunderstanding. But as a law enforcement professional, I seriously doubt that there is any real justification for this money being spent on the alarm monitoring service.
Manager, assistant manager, do you have any inside knowledge about these alarm system? What Mr. Van Dyke says?
In terms of doing like just purchasing a system?
Does our alarm system company do anything different than what he's outlined? Or is he missing anything?
I don't think so.
I'm asking off the top of your head, but so that's something.
It makes sense.
Yeah. You know what? Let's reach out to Mr. Van Dyke and have some conversation with him and see what suggestions he can make with that.
He was suggesting is any type of way we can link it with Courtesy Patrol.
Yeah.
They are already linked on it. Anytime that our alarm system goes off, Courtesy Patrol is the first one that gets alerted from the security company to come down to the office to find out what's going on.
So then ADT is pretty much useless. So he makes a good point.
Find a way how we can improve it, I would suggest.
Yeah, we can't take any action here because it's not on the agenda, but it's something to definitely explore. Thank you.
Our next comment is from Ben Peppa. He is in Northern Terrace. As a homeowner of Providence, it is somewhat disappointing to see that there has been no major change in focus to address the concerns by many about the assessments increase in November. In the last week, many homeowners received a secret ballot to remove 4 directors, which is a direct result of not funding the reserves as recommended by the reserve study specialists and mismanaging association funds by prioritizing events over critical infrastructure like the failing irrigation system or the new park. The survey sent out to the residents speaks to the agenda of the board in validating their past behaviors while neglecting to mention some core facts. Free food isn't really free food when it's coming from our assessments. There are a lot of loaded and leading questions which seem to give you no choice but to validate your viewpoint. The survey is so biased that no useful data can really come from it, in my opinion. The last thing I want to mention is the incident with the total loss of the Courtesy Patrol vehicle due to fire in Knickerbocker Park. I think you need to take critical and constructive look on what went wrong rather than defending that officer and his actions. I saw some of the comments from Walt defending the actions of Securitas, but if you are not looking at the root cause, this is bound to repeat itself again. In my opinion, and many others whom I talk to, patrol should not be going outside of Providence to respond to calls. They also should not be responsible for removal of explosive material for which they are not trained to remove. These 2 actions resulted in their truck catching fire and burning, but also endangered homeowners by bringing in explosive material into our community when not properly contained. I urge you to be transparent and share with the community your findings and recommendations going forward to ensure this doesn't happen again.
There's a lot of comments there. I don't know if there's any questions, but the free food thing came up again. And I don't remember the last event that we had that had free food. Most all events that provide food, there's either an admission to get in or you have to pay for the food. I guess one exception is the Board of Directors meeting or the members meeting. That was a big bone of contention from last year. And the board is certainly taking that under advisement. Before he started talking about the courtesy patrol vehicle, he mentioned something there.
He talked about the free food. And then before that, he talked about the ballots. So in the last week, many homeowners received a secret ballot to remove 4 directors, which is a direct result of not funding the reserves as recommended by the reserve study specialist and mismanaging association funds by prioritizing events over critical infrastructure like the failing irrigation system or the new park.
Okay. So to repeat something that's been said at length, and our previous community manager put a video on our Facebook page that talked about it as well, the assessments were raised for the sole purpose of the irrigation replacement plan, as well as funding the reserve further, because with the completion of Huckleberry Park, you may be aware we're doing a reserve study right now that all those extra amenities have to be put into that, and which will require the reserve fund to be higher. But as we've also seen in this meeting, how much savings has been going on, money putting towards the reserve. Now it's up to 70% fund, 74% funded. And that's just back in May. Come the end of the year, when we're able to put a lump sum into it, it'll be even better funded, that is. And events of cost savings left and right. We can go over the numbers line by line, but there's been significant savings, and we're getting better all the time.
Okay, the next comment comes from Robert Ryan inside of Madison Grove. Management did respond to him because we didn't know that this was a comment that he wanted to be read, but once we responded, he did want this to be read to the board of directors. So he writes, for the recall election, why didn't the return ballot envelopes have prepaid postage as specified by the NRS 116-31105? See section 3, subsection A on the cover sheet you mailed out with the secret ballot.
So we have not put postage on elections ballots before. What was that, NRS?
It is NRS 116-31105.
My internet connection is not working very well right now.
I know. Same, I'm getting kicked out.
Okay. Besides that question, why was it not mailed out? Was there another question in there?
That was it. Why wasn't there any pre-postage ballot envelopes with the mailer that was sent out?
Okay. It's not working. Oh, let's pass that on to management to follow up. I know everything is reviewed by legal counsel before it gets sent out. So
Yeah, well, so we already responded, just to let him know that it is not a requirement of NRS 116 that you guys put prepaid postage or include that. And also it's not in the governing documents as a requirement.
okay, I know that we haven't done it in the past for any election. So
Not standard practice, no.
And that's all the comments I have.
okay. Well, with that, I will close the homeowner open forum. We talked about our next meeting will probably be September 17th, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, this cup right here, my Providence cup, I did pay for it with my own money. I believe it's shopprovidencelvhoa.com, and you could go buy your Providence gear there. I'm not saying it to sell things, just people say, you know, the HOA pays for this and pays for that. That came from my own money. So, all right. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Did I hit my mute button? Because I don't hear anybody else saying
I
something.
hear you. Everybody else is muted though. Not you, Howard.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you all, and we'll see you next time.